Hello there. Today I watched The Flash and now I want to tell you about it. So stretch out, get your booties on, and let's run. Flash is a superhero action adventure movie that follows Barry Allen, played by Ezra Miller. It was directed by Andy Muschietti and written by Christina Hodson and Joby Harold. Allen is a metahuman with the power to move faster than the speed of light. He fights crime and hangs out with the other saviors of Earth, the Justice League. One day, Barry discovers he can run fast enough to reach the past, and it opens him up to a world of possibilities. Biggest one is the death of his mother and the day his father went to jail. Barry knows enough not to interact with himself or his mother directly, so instead he just changes one small thing in her life. It causes a chain reaction that leads Barry to a world without heroes and an incoming disaster. Can Barry run fast enough to save it all? The story is a highly convoluted tale based on a simple premise. What if heroes could change their origin stories? Barry tries to change his while still becoming a superhero, and it backfires spectacularly. At the core of this tale is a heartfelt story about a young man who really misses his parents, trying anything to get them back. The relationship between Barry and his mother is incredibly sweet and is filled with tearjerker moments that really bring the rest of the story together. Barry and his father get a little less time, but their relationship is almost as powerful. The character work in general is quite good. In the alternate timeline, we get to meet another version of Barry Allen, and the two work together to fix things. The two feel like completely distinct characters despite being the same person a few years apart, and each has a uniqueness to them that makes them stand out. We also meet the alternate versions of heroes from the other timeline, and they manage to make them feel like real and interesting people as well. By the end of the film, I actually wanted a standalone Kara Zor-El film and another Michael Keaton Batman. Both of the actors did a great job with their roles, and both characters were exceptionally cool. The story is a little wonky in terms of consistency and logic, with the whole time travel multiverse aspect completely messing it up. At one point, Barry creates a paradox that actually doesn't make sense, and the ending left me with a lot of questions about how it worked. Despite being full of plot holes, the story was actually quite entertaining. It's got a bit of humor, lots of action, lots of trippy sequences of the Flash running through the timeline, and a huge injection of emotion. The cast did a wonderful job with their roles, and there are quite a few standouts. The majority of the screen time went to Ezra Miller as both the older and younger Barry Allen. The older Barry is a bit of a joker with a sad streak underneath. We see how torn up he is by his mother's death and his father's false imprisonment, and then we see him rip himself into pieces trying to save everyone. The younger Barry is a hyperactive frat boy with a decent heart. He stands in contrast to the older version as a more annoying and naive kid. He grew up with his parents, so he doesn't have the same moody undertone, and has all the confidence of being raised by people who love him. Miller did a great job of making both characters feel like distinct people, and there's rarely a moment where you realize they're the same person on screen. They don't even sound that much alike, with the younger version being much higher pitched and screechy. Aside from Miller, Michael Keaton's Batman and Sasha Calle's Supergirl were also big standouts. Michael Keaton plays an older, more successful version of Batman who comes in as a bit of a father figure to Barry. He's quick to action and always there for Barry during the hard times. He nailed the emotional moments. Sasha Calle's Kara Zor-El doesn't get as much screen time as the others, but in her short time span, she manages to set herself up as an angry Kryptonian who can't stand the injustice she sees in the world. She immediately takes to Barry and tries to repay him for the kindness he showed her. Her outbursts were great, and her fight with Zod was filled with a lot of passion. They didn't get much time, but Ron Livingston as Barry's father and Maribel Verdú as his mother were both heartbreakingly good in this film. Both of them play a loving parent that just wants to protect their kid. Visually, this film is a little bit wonky on the CGI, but puts on some truly spectacular looking visuals, and there are so many cool references during the timeline multiverse parts. Not to spoil anything, but there's a scene in here of Nick Cage's Superman fighting a giant spider. I almost died geeking out in the theater. The CGI definitely goes into CGI overload territory, with just about everything in the running scenes being a CGI creation. A lot of the time it looks uncanny at best. The textures are wrong and it looks cartoonish. Once you get used to it though, it's an exciting and vibrant experience. They take their models and do some really fun stuff with them. We get Barry running through different parts of the world, saving entire hospital wards at the same time, a massive endless fight between General Zod, Kara, and the younger Barry Allen, and even a physical representation of the multiverse. The journey is usually pretty clear-cut and easy to understand, even if parts of it don't look great. And there are plenty of scenes that actually do look good, like whenever Batman is fighting. They have a real guy in the suit doing practical effects and it looks awesome. The way he fights is so efficient. Sound-wise, the film makes incredible use of music to both hype up the audience and fill out emotional scenes. There are original tracks and background instrumentals of a plethora of genres, and both are used effectively. The original music tends to come in during the fight scenes or action moments. It's always a fun track that makes Barry running around at the speed of light feel like a fun and wacky adventure. Background tracks are used more for tense moments and emotional scenes. It comes in quietly, doesn't overpower the dialogue, but pulls every last bit of emotion out of the scenery. They also brought back a number of classic themes and music to fit with different versions of the Justice League that they pulled in for the movie. For example, several of the songs that play during Michael Keaton's scenes are direct callbacks to his own movies. Overall, The Flash is a superhero film with a lot of heart. It's got non-stop action, lots of cool fights, some great acting, awesome music, and a lot of interesting visuals. The CGI could have been better, and they could have found a way out that didn't involve the world's most confusing paradox, but the film is ultimately a lot of fun. They tried a lot of new things in the visuals, and while I don't think it all worked, it was cool to see them try. 8 out of 10. And remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Bye-bye!